Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fat Minute, the official podcast of Pooka, Saucy.
Sling Blade?
I'm your host, Blake Jones. I'm gathered here today with,
Lost composure.
I'm gathered here today with co-creator Michael Whedon,
I love you, Daddy.
co-writer Trevor Klein,
Do the roar.
my comedic muse Zachary Kogel,
Hey, guys, I'm not dead.
and editor and producer Donnie the Johnson.
I almost want to make it.
Okay. How are we doing to this? How are we doing?
All right, start
Your shirt
over.
reminds me of Shrek, naked.
Do the roar.
This is my swamp.
Do the roar.
This is my swamp.
It's all ogre now.
I love you, Daddy.
I wish I was back at my swamp taking a fat ogre shit.
Okay. Let's get it together. We're gonna review some trailers, a chunk of news, and we're going to review a movie.
Ooh. We haven't done that before.
This is new to me.
I'll briefly go over what trailers we are skipping today with just a quick 2 cents. We are not going over the Maze Runner 2, The Scourge Trials. I'm the only person in the group that saw the first movie, so doing the...
I saw it.
You did? What'd you think of it? I thought it was actually good.
Fuck 'em.
But, yeah, I mean, none of us have really...
Basically,
More people in the group have not seen the first movie than have seen it, so I felt reviewing the second trailer was kind of
Oh
irrelevant.
boy, a dystopian future movie based on a teenage book. Now that's original.
We're not gonna review Gem and the Holograms because we're guys. But I hear it has nothing to do with the original show.
They're using the name and that's it.
Yep, and
I love that.
we're not gonna go over the new Pixels trailer because while I thought the new Pixels trailer was better than the first, they don't really sell.
I'm getting really upset.
They don't really sell a different tone or style. Like, if you didn't like the way the first trailer looked, you're not going to like the way the second trailer works. It looks. It's the same thing. Yes.
Did they use that song that's in every fucking Adam Sandler
He
movie?
might have opened the door.
Yeah, like when Pac-Man's eating the shit.
No, but yeah, that seemed kind of redundant because we reviewed the first trailer. It still looks like the same movie, although they do have some better shots in it. It's a little longer, but it could still be okay. But moving on. Let's move into
What we are talking about.
what we are talking about.
Is there an echo in here?
Is there an echo in here?
That damn duck again.
That damn duck again.
I'm gonna wait for Michael to come back.
Brad couldn't be here because
Yeah,
Just being
T-Bone.
Brad.
he claimed he didn't like Chipotle, so he's in the bathroom cleaning the blood from his head.
Rip in peace, Brad Ned.
Okay,
Drop the king.
I'm gonna go into a circle.
The next room. Man,
This
I'm
is
gonna
why
get buried for
Fat Minute's
sure.
an hour and a half long is because of you. It's all you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go into a circle of your quick answer to the question. Just a minute long, and then we'll start the open table discussion where we're able to do cross questions and stuff, because I like that. I like the way that worked. But at first, go in a circle, 1 minute, what is your take on what I had to say, and then we'll open it up. The first thing is the second trailer for the movie Panhead. And I think it looks good. I think I like the first trailer a little bit better. I think it looks like a fun movie. I'll see it. It'll be interesting seeing Hugh Jackman as a villain. It's got a lot of funny parts to it. Trevor's going to get to what he thinks Hook sounds like. But here's the question. Once again, 1 minute each, and then we'll open it up. What do we think of the second trailer for Pan? And also, how many times can Hollywood really tell the same story over and over again before they shouldn't bother anymore? We'll start the table with you, Donnie.
Well, when it comes to the Pan trailer, I actually liked it a lot. I'm actually a little bit more interested in this movie now than what I was originally. I think with this movie they managed to do something that's original but not original at the same time. Because with this movie they're showing like Pan's origin story, how he came to be in Neverland and all that, and how he met Hook and everything like that. But then at the same time they're talking about a prophecy and everything. It's like, oh, suddenly an old prophecy that happens to pertain to to the main character that just got thrown into a brand new world that he didn't even know about. It's like it's been done a million times before.
It's like that one South Park episode about Craig.
Exactly. So
so startled.
I'm more interested, but I'm not completely gung-ho about it. As for how many times can Hollywood do the same story, it really depends on how long it takes for everybody to get bored of that story, really. I don't think you can really put a set time frame on it.
Zachary. Trevor.
Wow.
Remember, 1 minute.
Yeah, I agree with him on the idea that, it'll just keep being remade until people get bored of it. That doesn't mean it should happen like that, because sometimes you just get so tired of seeing the same thing over and over again, you just kind of wanted to see it fail. But, this new pan, I'd like to fry eggs.
This new pan.
I like the fried eggs on it. It doesn't stick.
No stick.
No,
Comes in variety of colors.
It makes a damn good quesadilla.
but it looks decent enough. It hasn't made me cringe yet. I mean,
I still imagine you talking about a pan.
So let me give it a test run. Sizzles and
Listen,
crinkles.
9 out of 10 would fry again.
Trevor.
Okay, continue.
But no, literally, I haven't cringed at the trailer yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it a few more times.
So yeah, I'm gonna watch it a few more times. But yeah,
Good
I'll
pan.
thumb it.
It's a good pan.
I'll thumb it.
It's a good
thumb it.
pan.
Trevor.
I thought it was fantastic.
Fuck you.
Says every movie reviewer that weekend. No, but I know you want me to jump right into it, but I thought the trailer was pretty good. I can't really nail exactly why, but I like the first trailer more. The thing I do find weird though with it is, who's playing Hook again?
Garrett Hedlund.
Oh, I was
The
thinking
guy from-
Armie Hammer for some
The
reason.
guy from Tron Legacy.
Oh,
Yeah, well, you want to ask why does he sound like...
Why does he sound like a sort of Jimmy Stewart kind of person? Oh, my mouth is always an oh.
That's
Donnie, what did you say he sounded like? Or who said the butter thing?
I said it sounds like he's slipping on butter.
I said in this movie, Hook is basically Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But with a donut.
No,
right
no,
in
I know what you're saying. And the answer is yes.
Angels do get their wings when you ring a bell.
Suddenly, in about 5 years, I'm gonna say yard for some reason. Yard. See, it's on his hand. It's like cursed. So when he loses it, he becomes a pirate.
Okay.
No, but I
becomes a
enjoyed it. I did, as Kogel said, I didn't cringe or anything. In terms of how many times the story can be retold, it's Peter Pan.
Yeah.
It's already happened between the stage, animated films, and live action films dozens of times. I mean, it's just a classic story. It's going to happen.
Okay.
Mike?
Mike?
Well,
Mike.
everyone,
His mouth's full of that dick.
I'm having breakfast at 8 o'clock.
Hey, that's the Breakfast of Champions.
Michael likes to start his day backwards.
He's doing the Kogel special. Breakfast at 8.
Hey.
that,
I start with a slice of cake and make my way back. 8 a.m. slice of cake.
Okay.
Okay.
I like this trailer. I think I like it a little more than the first one. I liked the first trailer. I think the only thing I'm not really sold on is the kid playing Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm. Too young.
Should have panned him.
Well, my thing is like they're doing it a little different. They're kind of doing it more so kind of how like Wendy and the rest of the kids went to Neverland. Because from what I knew, from the most part, especially in the Hook movie with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams, is that Peter went to Neverland when he was a baby and he kind of grew up there. I didn't read the books. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. I know Peter Pan started off as a novel. But, I feel like the kid acts too serious. Like, they're really playing the dramatic card with
Don't believe in bedtime stories.
Yeah, like, the kid almost seems depressed. Like, he's acted like this, like, really serious character. And Peter Pan's
Well,
always...
if I saw Hugh Jackman looking like that, I wouldn't be happy.
He got the AIDS.
But my thing is like, Peter Pan's always an energetic, fun character. One of those kind of characters that laughs in the face of death, literally. Mm-hmm. His most famous line is when Hook tells him that he's going to die. He always says to die would be a great adventure. This is a kid that laughs in the face of death. And I just don't see that. This kid's very pessimistic. But I don't know, maybe he'll go through an arc and become more fun, like he loves Neverland or whatever. But the rest of the cast I like. As far as Peter Pan becoming stale, people throw that card out like, oh, nobody has original ideas anymore. But you got to think, this isn't just some kind of new trend. Like, they've made silent films about Peter Pan. Peter Pan has been around since the dawn of the 20th century. Like Trevor said, there was musicals about Peter Pan. There's been silent films about him. There was a black and white film with voiceovers.
I think Disney did something.
There's the Disney cartoon. And then there was the most famous Peter Pan movie's Hook, like I said, and then there was
he's in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, and then there was one in 2000, the early 2000, and Jason
Neverland.
Yeah.
No, it was just called Peter Pan.
Which one's? Oh,
Then there was Neverland.
I thought Neverland.
Finding Neverland is about the author.
Finding Neverland.
No, I thought the live action one that they made was just called Neverland, or was it called Peter Pan?
There was
Pan.
one that like went straight to DVD and it had like rice iphans in it.
Yeah.
But the one I'm thinking of, like, it was called Peter Pan. It was just the normal story of Peter Pan, and Jason Isaacs, who played Lucius Malfoy, he was Captain Hook in that. And that one wasn't bad. I don't think... I like the Peter Pan story. I think the best thing about it is the mythology and, like, Neverland and stuff. I always thought Spielberg portrayed that the best, especially with a lot of practical effects. So, I don't think the story of Peter Pan is going to get stale, but I will say it's going to be really hard to top Hook. Like,
now, just a quick question to elaborate on that.
Well, let's go ahead and open up the table
Are you talking about how many, like, in general, how many times can something be remade, or are you talking specifically about Peter Pan?
In general.
In general,
general?
I have a question.
I think in general that's not true, because there are so many classic stories that have been told over, and people are like, oh, how many times can you remake Dracula? It's like, do you realize in the old days, they remade it more than nowadays? Like, yeah, there's like one every 10 years nowadays. But you gotta realize, like, from the 1920s to like the 1950s, there was probably close to like 30 Dracula movies. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things when a character becomes iconic, usually starting off...
That's only if you count the official ones. I mean, there were plenty of ones where they changed names.
Nosferatu.
Where they were told to burn everything.
Well, okay, well,
Yeah.
And that is a good point. And yeah, I meant both. How many? I meant both, like Peter Pan and stories in general. Like, how many times do we need to make a new King Kong for a new generation? I'm not expressing an opinion on the matter myself. I think a good movie is a good movie. Another question I would like to ask is, so do you think it's possible to make a retelling or an update, you know, whether it be King Kong, Peter Pan, do you think it is possible to make one that is so good, people will be like, well, there's no point in making one again. That should remain the definitive one. It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's possible to happen?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying...
Only for limited amounts of time.
My thing is like, I think Peter Pan can be retold, but like I said earlier, I don't know if it's ever going to top Hook, because I think Hook's the definitive Peter Pan movie.
Well,
same thing. You could make as many Star Wars movies as you want. You cannot remake the original trilogy of Star Wars.
That's my thing with Hook, is that notice how long it was till another one came along after that. You can have it where they stop making them because you have such a good one, but it won't be forever. Because you got to think advances in technology, special effects, all that. People are going to be like, well, what would happen if we did Peter Pan now? Mm-hmm. What could we make it look like? And that's what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna stories like that. It's gonna happen every decade to 2 decades. They're gonna remake it.
I also think though nowadays we're in a rut though, because I think unless you have really really good CGI, everybody knows it's fake. Everybody knows it just looks like a video game or a cutscene. When
it's a fucking flying pirate ship.
Well, my thing is when you can. I'm just talking about like when you can nail practical effects in a movie. Doesn't matter how old it is. Like there are visual effects in Star Wars
that look more real than computer graphics.
They look more real and stuff from like the 90s and the early 2000s.
Like, the 90s was a very odd decade for effects.
Or like if you think about
the xenomorphs.
If you think about it in Hook, like the two big pirate ships they're on, and the kids like swinging on the ropes and stuff, and like the giant tree house they're in. They wouldn't make that real anymore. It would just be all green screen. And my thing is, it's like, yes, it's cheaper, it's more effective, we have better technology, but it's the illusion. You can tell when something's a tangible object.
Do you think it looked like there was too much CGI in this trailer?
Yes,
a little bit.
Because the scene where like when he's first going to Neverland in the trailer, I presume that's what it is, and he's like in space on the flying pirate ship. The fucking kid looks like he's completely made from like a video game.
Trevor, get it out. What?
There's nothing to do with this, but your chair is so short you look like a child compared to
What do you guys think of Peter Pan?
He sits up.
I mean, there's even.
What do you guys think of it?
I just want to be a little boy and have fun.
I wanted to fit the mood of Peter Pan.
I never ever want to grow up.
But now, like, yeah, what Donnie said, it looked like the poor kid was being pulled through a freaking garden hose.
He's even wearing a green shirt. He's turning into a kid.
I gotta go catch my shadow, kids.
Okay, alright, get up. Jesus God.
What are you fellas doing?
Okay, come on.
Howdy ho, neighbor.
Okay, I'm trying to collect myself here. Back to, is it possible to make the definitive thing? Do I love Batman? Absolutely. Am I stoked for Ben Affleck as Batman? Yes. I want to keep seeing Batman for the rest of my life as much as possible.
I want to see Batman forever.
I
Said
do.
no one.
I do.
I like Batman Forever.
I do. I can't help but be a little shocked that the Dark Knight trilogy ended in 2012, and we're getting a new Batman in 2016. For as widely acclaimed, loved, and profitable as the Dark Knight trilogy was, I really would have thought that Warner Brothers would have allowed it to collect more dust until they gave us a new Batman.
Well,
They saw it was able
They
to
kind
sell.
of have to
Because
the
You
Avengers.
can't really throw superhero movies into that because everybody's just competing with each other.
Okay.
DC's
they
hand
couldn't let
kinda
it
got
collect
forced.
dust.
However,
because-
there's also a downside to that. Sometimes when things compete too much, things become rushed, and then you get,
Apple and Samsung.
and then it just becomes shit.
Apple
I mean,
and
look at Iron Man
Samsung.
3. That was a rushed mess.
This podcast is
My
not brought
thing
to you
is,
by
like,
Apple and or
My thing
Samsung.
is, really, they have no choice, because what is it going to be? They're going to have other superhero movies, like, make more money than them.
Yeah.
When Warner Brothers has been a more established thing than the Marvel Disney thing for a longer time, and they own all the rights to the DC characters, so in a lot of ways, it's easier for them to do it, because Marvel still has characters they have to buy back from other
They're sure
companies
struggling,
they
though.
sold to.
We'll actually go back to the Warner Brothers DC handling. So we'll sum up. Let's close the topic on Pan. Looks good. I'll see it. Could be
Yeah,
fun.
I'll see it.
I'll give it a
All right.
thumb.
All right. Next up.
Don't give a thumb to children, you sicko.
Next up is the trailer for Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak. I think this trailer did look a little bit better than the first one. I do have to agree with Donnie in the first trailer, where at first, when you're watching trailer number 1, you're like, it looks like one of those movies where the plot's just going to make no damn sense at all.
It still looks like that.
It looks like one of those like.
I think the plot looks.
I couldn't even
It
guess
looks
what
like
the plot is.
It looks like one of those period pieces in the '90s you saw on TV and fell asleep 20 minutes into.
It honestly just.
Period piece. It's
It
got a lot of
honestly.
blood.
It honestly just looks like Loki
Like
and.
Little Women.
It honestly. Just, it honestly just looks like Loki and his sister are going to sacrifice that girl to the house. That's what it looks like. more
Either
than
that or
anything.
they're immortal and they're going to kill
Loki
her
and his
drain her
sister
health or
sacrifice
life
a
or
girl to
whatever.
a house.
While I was watching this, Guillermo del Toro
Has many powers.
Had made such a cool aesthetic with Hellboy, with practical effects, traditional effects, and sets.
I make the creatures.
When I'm watching this trailer, it looks a little more CGI-y than I thought a Guillermo del Toro movie would have looked. That's not Crimson Peak, obviously. If you have giant robots, you got to do that. But for them just being in a Victorian haunted house, there were a few more like CGI shots. I want to ask, and once again, a minute around, and then we'll open up the table. What do we think of the new Crimson Peak trailer? And can CGI ever be scary? Michael.
Michael.
Keep it to a minute.
The answer is no. CGI could never be scary because, like I said, the human eye can tell when something is a visual effect. a CGI creature will never be scary. You can make something appear creepy, but as far as like shock value and eeriness, you can't, because something has to feel real to be scary. You know what I mean? It's all about the illusion. It's not real.
Doctorate in visual
It's like,
effects.
and that's the thing. It looks like a cartoon. Like there's like a cartoon shadow hand that grabs her. I'm like, that's not scary.
The hand looked real.
But other than that,
What do we think of the trailer?
But other than that, like, I think it looks good. I can already tell it's not going to be his best movie.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Del Toro fan. His best movies will always be the Hellboy movies to me, just because of how like he literally brought that comic book to life and even improved on it. Like as much, I've read Seed of Destruction, like the first graphic novel, and I really like that book. But I will say, which is basically what the first movie is, it's that graphic novel. And he kind of advanced the story, like he added more depth, and that's one of the few times the movie's better than the book. So, but
Okay.
it's good, but I don't think it's gonna be his best.
Trevor.
I agree with that. I don't think it's going to be his best. I mean, it looks cool. It looks like it'll be worth a watch.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me, sort of, I don't know how, but it reminds me of Peter Jackson's old horror movies
Okay.
from like the late 80s, early 90s.
Dead Alive.
Yeah. It reminds me of a similar aesthetic, kind of. Like, definitely not as gross out, but yeah, I mean, I do want to see it, but I can't say I'm excited for it because it's just not as crazy as his other projects. Like, you have Hellboy, you have like Pacific Rim. I mean, what was the one? Are You Afraid of the Dark? That one wasn't good.
No.
No.
I just
awesome. What?
that show was awesome.
No, the movie Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Don't be afraid of the dark.
Don't be afraid of the dark.
Yeah,
Don't
there's
be
a
afraid.
show called
Okay.
Are You Afraid?
That
This ain't Nickelodeon,
I
motherfucker.
hope that doesn't go in the same direction as Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah, that was alright.
But it had the exact same monsters as in Hellboy 2.
Well, he only produced it though.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I was really looking forward to Silent Hills, but I mean,
Yeah, preach it, brother.
Yeah, that.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark was a remake of a foreign film too.
Yeah. Zach.
Man, you say Silent Hills, now you got me all butthurt.
No, that's
about
okay.
that.
I didn't want to poop myself anyway.
That's okay. I didn't
I
really
want to fuck you anyway.
Oh, one other thing.
You're missing some teeth.
CGI can be scary. Early CGI is scary as fuck.
Well, that's just because it's weird looking.
Well, yeah,
We'll
but
go-
it can be scary.
Okay.
But my thing is they wouldn't use old, like early 90s CGI
Also-
in a movie now.
This might go into a different topic, but how do you explain horror games in that regard then?
Because you're actually immersed in it.
True. I mean, you are controlling the person.
You're
Yeah.
seeing the person to their point of view. You're controlling it. When you're watching a real live action person on screen,
That's when CG.
you have to make everything
Okay.
else feel real too.
All right. I don't
Well-
like skeletons.
See.
Gone.
Oh, okay. But Crimson Peak looks okay. Now that I know a little bit more about the story from like the trailers, what I can infer.
Good, maybe you could fill me in.
It sounds like a producer to watch like the trailer 5 minutes before the interview. It looks okay.
I kind of did watch it like 5 minutes before the interview.
I gave him a couple million.
I'm not a director though. I watched it. It looked pretty good. I might see it. But as far as CGI being not scary or scary, some people, it literally all is. The deciding factor is their taste. For example, I knew
Bingo.
Michael wouldn't agree with it because he's more of a practical guy. He likes the classic movies. So he's never going to really fully agree on the fact that CGI can be scary. Trevor
I was
likes
a girl
video.
watching old horror films too.
Well, that. So I know he's not to sound like it's trying to be an insult, but he would be kind of biased to the fact that he wouldn't think that CGI would be scary. Trevor, on the other hand, he's a video guy. He's a video game kind of guy, and I knew he'd eventually bring that up. He, video games kind of fit into that category, so he kind of would agree with it. Me, I think as long as you're trying to go for the aesthetic of it trying to be scary, as long as you actually try, but not try hard, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as you're not trying to be a jackass about it, and you actually like put your heart and soul into it,
Well,
you can be scary.
You know what's a good example?
Here's my thing. Name one.
No. Yeah,
I agree. Video games can be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Name one movie where a CGI thing scared you.
Signs.
Was that
The
was that
movie.
CGI?
I think
Yeah.
that was CGI. The Mexican boy's birthday party where he
Yeah,
comes.
yeah, that was CGI.
I'll use that.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
I'll use two bad examples because I mean both had really terrible CGI because of I guess budgetary reasons. But The Mist, that movie kind of freaks me out.
Well, see, I like The Mist, but I hated that everything was CGI.
I hated how bad the CGI looked.
Especially because it's a Frank Darabont movie
Like-
and the CGI was fucking terrible.
Something about when they're driving at the end of that giant fucking thing across the street, I was just like, oh shit. Like
that was cool, but like
spiders.
when the tentacle came in and grabbed the kid,
That
that
was,
that was fucking
and it
terrible.
pops his kneecap. The other example, which I think is really works in this scenario, compare the Thing prequel to the Thing.
Oh,
There were parts of the prequel that do disturb me, like when the fucking thing combines with the human. That part, like,
But my thing is,
got me cringy.
the original you will never top the original Thing.
Oh no,
that
because,
wasn't creepy.
because of how the practical effects look so real. When you see that dog, like the wolf dog, when you see the wolf dog's fucking face split open and the tentacles come out, that's a puppet. That's of a life-size dog that has fur, has texture. The actors could touch it and interact with it. Had actual not actual blood but like blood substance coming out. Like you can't top that.
I think overall what I'm trying to say is a blend of practical and CGI. You use practical as your main and use CGI to cover up what practical can't.
Or like an American Werewolf in London, and Blake can back me up on this one. The first time I showed him that movie, when he turns into the werewolf, there's nothing fake about that. Like that looks real.
Werther's.
Like he looks like he's turning
Like
into a
everything.
werewolf. When you see his face stretch out into a snout, there's nothing special effects about that. That's a puppet with skin texture stretching and contorting.
Donnie, your thoughts?
I still don't know what the hell's going on in the Crimson Peak movie. I could not guess what the plot is. This trailer, the same thing as the first one. The plot looks like it doesn't make any sense at all. Not that impressed.
have you seen House Party?
Yeah.
It's that, but with ghosts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think CGI can be scary.
Let's steal all the fucking jelly beans.
And then he he sits those ones there and then takes the dish.
Look at his handful, like he's fucking just in there.
But wow.
Back up and get more.
You got like 20 more.
But like I was saying, I think CGI can be scary. But I think one, it really depends on the person's own personal what scares me, and two, I think practical effects will always be superior. When you're using the argument for video games, when you bring video games into the argument, it works. CGI works for video games because one, that's all you have for video games right now, and I imagine in the future video games may very well get to the point to where you're controlling like an actual person.
Like in Gamer?
Yeah. Maybe not that far, but you know what I mean.
I can really play as Gerard Butler
Yeah.
and fight Dexter.
What I mean is they'll get to the point to where they film stuff with actual people, and yeah. But also with a video game, you're actually immersing yourself into it. You're putting yourself in your character's footsteps. You're actually experiencing it as they would. So it works a little different for video games. And plus, even then, how often do you come across a video game that actually does scare the living shit out of you? Not often.
Not often, but when they do, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't download that anymore.
Yeah.
That game doesn't exist anymore.
But I think CGI can work, but I think practical effects will always be far superior.
Okay. Any closing thoughts? I can move on.
I like men.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. We pretty much got it out there, but yeah, I would use Signs.
If Crimson Peak does bad at the box office that following Monday, all the reviewers are going to be like, Crimson Peak was Crimson Week.
I think it peaked in the first 5 minutes.
I got one of those cooked up for Tomorrowland too.
Okay. The Vacation reboot is out.
Oh God.
Once again,
Reboot?
in a circle or sequel. I'm sorry. Yes, it is a sequel.
Not a reboot.
It's a requel.
It's
A
What?
requel.
so a movie called
Yeah, 21 Jump Street did.
A movie called Vacation's coming out. Here's okay. Once again, in a circle. What do we think of it? And when is it too late to make a sequel to something? And yes, that may sound like a rehash of my question earlier. How many times can you tell the same story? I mean, like, how many times can you return to the same movie? And I mean, like, this, it is surprising how people have returned to Vacation. A lot of people wouldn't say it's the same thing as making another Indiana Jones or making Star Wars Episode 7. When is it too late, and especially with what genre, what?
Is the world ready for a female Clark Griswold?
When is it too late? When is it too late to make a sequel? How? And elaborate. We'll start the table with you, Donnie. What did we think of Vacation and my bullshit question?
Did anybody really ask for another Vacation movie? Answer me that.
I didn't know they were even making one.
Yeah. This one came out of nowhere.
And Ed Helms is slowly becoming man of the remake.
And you know what? I'm
Since
going to
he's
level
like-
with you, Blake. I didn't watch the trailer for it because I don't fucking care. Did anybody really ask for
You
another...
go, girl.
Did anybody really ask for another Vacation trailer? 'Cause
You did not see it.
I did not.
See the trailer.
I did
What do you
not.
think of his bullshit question, though? I think that's what we're...
Yeah. So first off, why make another Vacation movie? I don't think anybody fucking wants it. Bless you.
There's that duck
the
again.
trailer actually did have a couple of good
Oh,
jokes.
It's a spooky ghost.
That one was going somewhere.
Jesus.
And how long? Like, how often can you come back to a series or a franchise? It's very rare that you can come back to a franchise more than like maybe a few years after the previous movie. Like, you know, it works for Star Wars and Indiana Jones because they're so iconic. You know, people wanted those sequels. Franchises like Vacation, who the hell wants that? Who said, you know what would be awesome if we made another one of those? That would complete my life.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah. After he like fucking disses them.
Yeah, that's kind of his thing.
Yeah, he bites the hand that feeds him. He's a fucker. But I mean, it really depends on the franchise.
He's just mad that SNL doesn't want him back.
Yeah. Yeah. It really depends on the
All I'm
franchise.
saying, it's
It
been
depends on the
40
movie,
years.
and honestly, it also depends on how much effort is put into it. Like, there's some stuff, like for example, the new Terminator movie. You could tell they're just doing it because they want money. They don't care if it's good or not.
They want to make as much money as they can before the rights revert back to James Cameron,
Exactly.
which is 2018.
19. I think.
Star Wars Episode 7. You could tell they're putting real effort into it. So it depends on a number of factors, but I think...
We're actually reviewing a movie later on this episode that can relate to this
Right.
question.
But I feel at most, unless it's like a really, really iconic franchise, at most maybe 10 years.
Kogel.
Well,
What did you think of the trailer?
first off, the first thing that came to my mind was whoever was playing, just the feel of the movie itself. There was a thought that just kept going through my head, and I was so relieved when I was wrong. It was, please do not tell me Jason Sudeikis is the main character. Please don't tell me Jason Sudeikis is the main character. And he wasn't, and I was like, okay, all right.
Everybody else
Now
is
you have
Charlie Day's in it.
Charlie's in it, and I was like, okay, all right. Jason Sudeikis isn't far behind. Right after that,
You know him on a first name basis? Charlie, yeah, I got Charlie in there.
I mean, let the poor boy
well, no,
finish.
the only reason I say that is because I've watched like shit tons of It's Always Sunny. I don't know
So,
if it's
so you're
Charlie
practically his
Day.
best friend.
I just know him
the
as
poor
Charlie.
boy finish.
So,
I've hung out with him for over
there's
40
a
episodes.
line right in the beginning of the movie that actually kind of made me, you know, a little okay with it existing, which is but I've never heard about the first vacation. Well, this is a different vacation, and it's going to be better.
This ain't your dad's vacation.
This isn't your dad's vacation.
That is a joke in it. He goes, "We're gonna go on a vacation." I've never even heard of the first vacation. Well, the new vacation will stand on its own. Like I like that joke.
I like that joke. Not to mention the
21
fact that
Jump Street.
who
Yeah,
asked
they
who
did.
yeah, exactly. That was literally what I was about to say. Who asked for a new vacation movie? Okay, I'll admit it. I didn't. I didn't also ask for a reboot of 21 Jump Street.
Up.
And look how amazing that was. And it got
And it was nothing like the original.
As Bill Dennison said, the 21 Jump Street movie may not have been just like the original TV show, but who would have wanted that anyway?
Yeah. So I actually
That's a good. No, that's a real. No, I'm so high on that point right now.
I'm
That's
so
a really
proud
good
of
point. I'm so proud of you. That is a good point.
So I mean, I actually want to see this, just for funsies.
Okay, Trevor, try to be as good as Kogel. You won't be though.
I'll have my time.
Impress me as much as him, even though you won't.
Ron Paul 2016.
Trailer was all right. I definitely agree with this 21 Jump Street point, so I'm piggybacking on that. No, I mean that joke's straight out of like 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
But I like that it isn't a reboot. I like that it is a continuation.
It is rusty.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the humor in it, it seems very different than the old ones, or at least the way they're doing it, which is kind of what gets me.
I've never.
I wouldn't call it
I've never
more-
seen a vacation.
I wouldn't
movie.
call it more clean, but I don't know.
Well, I want you to continue too, but I will go back to what you were hinting at is apparently Ed Helms blackmailed someone in Hollywood hardcore because he's not only supposed to be, well, he is in the new Vacation, he's supposed to be the new Leslie Nielsen in the Naked Gun reboot. So
I heard that fell through.
Did it?
I can't.
Maybe that's why this happened.
Why are they rebooting The Naked Gun?
I don't know, but apparently he blackmailed someone hardcore. Continue, Trevor.
Sort of lost my thought. Yeah, back to like who
You
asked-
said it doesn't look safe or it doesn't look
it's
cleaner?
What? No. The humor looks handled differently.
It doesn't
like
look as-
the old movies weren't clean or anything.
Not as subtle.
Yeah.
Because the humor in the originals was very
There's a
subtle.
fucking part where they're bathing in poo. It's like
Yeah, I love when the kid's like, "Hey, look, a dart," and he throws a dirty needle.
crazy?
He throws a dirty syringe at his brother.
it reminds me of that one movie, that one terrible comedy from the early '90s where the whole family was like really stupid. You know what I'm talking about?
The Stupids?
Yes.
That's literally
Yeah, with
reminds me
Tom
of
Arnold. Yeah.
I've seen that movie.
Only Tom Arnold who could be the Papa in a movie called The Stupids.
I like how you say Papa instead of Dad.
The Papa.
The Papa.
I love it when you
But
call Big Papa.
back to like
Well, yeah, Donnie, shame on you. You should have at least watched this trailer.
Why?
Talk about Chris Hemsworth monster cock.
nobody talks about it. You just-
It's
Chris
a legend.
Hemsworth is in this movie, and like he's got a bulge running down that fucking leg.
Uh-oh.
I hope your girlfriend doesn't listen to these podcasts.
Seriously? Oh my god, seriously?
I mean, they totally didn't like shove a banana down or anything.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't a banana. That was
And
like
it's like
that was like one of those like water worms you like filled up and like they like came in different colors.
and it's like, oh, Ed Holmes didn't notice, or like some jokes in it were a little.
I'm not trying
But
to.
my final point. Back to how long,
Yeah.
like before a reboot becomes irrelevant. I think this is
How
a case
long
of
that
when it
water
has.
worm is?
Because I mean, yes, the vacation movies, they were super popular in the 80s and early 90s, but then nothing happened for a long time, and we're at a point now where everyone kind of nobody remembers them as much.
It's depressing how
You have to
much,
be in your late 40s, early 50s to really remember and idolize them.
I'm sure Jill's dad is stoked for it.
He loves Clark Bruce.
There comes a point where it is possible for you to have your encore and make your curtain call after the audience already left.
This is far past the point where
I can't get over how different Chevy Chase looks. You
Yeah.
look at him now, it's like, god damn.
Yeah. They're beyond like the audience is left. It's like the audience is left and the theater's already booked a new gig and they're still hanging around.
It's still not as depressing as Val Kilmer. I see Val Kilmer today and I'm like,
Hey guys,
And it's
remember
like-
when I was Batman?
I just
He
watched.
never should have discovered cake.
I just watched a really good Val Kilmer movie last night.
What?
The Ghost in the Darkness.
I thought you were gonna say supersize me.
I find it really. I find it really bizarre that Christina Applegate looks so much like the original mom.
I can't believe.
Yeah.
To a point where it's almost like, is it trying to be a remake? I can't even tell. But
Beverly D'Angelo.
yeah, they look very similar.
Michael, what did we think?
She's got some tickle bitties.
She had him reduced.
She had cancer.
She had
That's
breast,
all.
she had breast cancer.
That's
She's
his
had him
thoughts
reduced.
for the evening.
That's the thing. Even though when she got him reduced, they're still a decent size.
Hey, we're just preaching it, brother.
Talk about tits all in one. Okay, well, you see, I grew up watching the vacation movies because
Jesus.
my whole family loves them. My dad, my mom, my gammy, like, every Christmas we watch Christmas Vacation. And that will always be the best one. That is a timeless comedy. The jokes are...
Tap dance with. What's his fucking name?
Way to fuck it up.
Wait, what was it?
Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny fucking Gay.
Yeah, he gets mad because his family's going to leave. And Clark's just gone over the deep end and is trying to make the perfect Christmas, and he's losing his shit. And the family decides to leave. He's like, "Oh, where are you guys going? Oh, you ain't going anywhere. Oh, no, we're on all this together. We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby to tap dance with Danny fucking Kaye. And when Santa slides down his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, we're going to be the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house." But, that's the best one. I'd say probably the worst one's European.
Vegas?
Oh yeah,
I would say European.
the Vegas one's all right.
Vegas isn't bad. The first
I
one's
remember-
good.
I remember one time I got a Pizza Hut and it came with it. You remember that? They came with.
They gave you an R-rated
pizzas
movie?
came with DVDs for like.
They're not. None of them are R.
What?
I remember
No,
one other time I
None of
got.
them are R.
I remember another
They're all-
time I got Bill and
They're
Ted's
all
Bogus
PG and
Journey.
PG-13.
Yeah. We're not
you
making
sure
this
about
up. Yeah, we're positive.
Well, continue, Michael.
Well, R didn't exist until the late '80s, did it?
Yeah, it did.
No, PG-13 didn't
That's
exist
newer.
until the mid '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, which meant PG was much more the.
Stop taking all the jelly beans.
I was bringing you back one, but fuck you.
But
Lost that privilege for going out early.
this trailer. So I grew up with my family loving Vacation. I watched them all plenty of times, and this one it doesn't look too bad. I'm glad it's a sequel, not a remake.
You're right.
And yeah, well, they were family comedies.
Jokes on you.
I mean, they
how
had
was
some
the
raunchy
Suicide?
jokes here and there, but like it was a family movie for the most part.
Yeah.
But I think it looks good. I think like this one looks a little raunchier. But
Raunchy.
Ed Helms is Ed Helms is playing Russ, and Russ has been, and that's kind of a joke in the Vacation movies.
I think the actor should have just changed throughout the film.
Well, no, that's the thing in the Vacation movies. The kids are a different actor.
I know
every
that.
movie.
Yeah.
Like in that Yogi Berra cartoon they did a couple years ago, where like the ranger looked different in every fucking scene.
I didn't see that one.
They should have done that with
And
Russ.
well, like Russ, Anthony Michael Hall was Russ in the first movie, and then
He's too beefy now.
the kid from
Very
Night of the Creeps was Russ in European, and then the third one is
There needs to at least be a joke about that in that film.
the guy who plays Leonard, the main guy in The Big Bang Theory with the glasses. He's Russ in Christmas Vacation, and Juliette Lewis.
Leonard?
Yeah, the
Is
guy with the
Rusty
brown
in
curly
Christmas
hair.
Vacation?
Yeah, he's Rusty.
Zimbabwe.
And then Juliette Lewis is the daughter Audra. She's the daughter in Christmas Vacation, and yeah, so that's kind of the thing. They change the actors of the kids every movie. That's kind of the joke. But it doesn't look bad. Like the jokes in the trailer are funny. It's kind of one of those things. Like I'm a big fan of the series, but I'm really not going to say much about it until I see it. Like. If it's not that good, it's not going to ruin the old movies for me because I grew up watching those and I really like the old movies. Especially since those ones focus on Chevy Chase, and Chevy Chase in his prime was just amazing.
Oh.
Like I love old Chevy Chase. But that's
When is it too late to make a sequel?
it. Just depends on the era it was made, the kind of movie. It's like I said episode before, like Star Wars is timeless. You can do Star Wars. we could not see another Star Wars movie in 50 years, and it would make $1 billion when it came out 50 years later.
Probably in 50 years it would make $2 billion.
But some things you can't do that. Some things don't have a legacy. They can have a fan following, but it's not big enough. Some things are just trapped in a thing like Chevy Chase in his prime is trapped in like
They
the
made too many
70s
in
and
such a
80s.
short amount of time.
Like how they made a Boondock Saints 2 10 years later.
Yeah.
Or like
They made too many in such a short amount of time to
waited-
make another 15 years later is just irrelevant.
and then they waited 9 years to make Sin City 2.
Yeah.
And I love Sin City. I even like the second one.
But that's totally
But
why it bombed.
It didn't do good.
That's what you call
It didn't-
striking while the iron's cold.
Yeah, it didn't strike while the iron was hot. They
You
should
heard
have
about
made
it for like
they
years
should-
after, and then you didn't hear anything
My
for 2
thing is,
years,
it's
and that's
like-
all it took.
They had the title and like everything and the stories from the novels they wanted to do for Sin City 2. Like we knew it was going to be mainly about a dame to kill for.
They had
All those years.
2 cast members died.
Yeah, two
Brittany,
cast members. Brittany Murphy and Michael Clark Duncan
Fuck, you're-
died in those
You're-
9 years
You're
they
reminding
waited.
me the next Dark Knight Returns sequel is going to take 10 years.
The Master Race.
Is that supposed to come out soon now?
September or October. The Master Race.
Really?
Yeah.
He's writing it in that short amount of a time?
It's done.
Oh, shit.
Bullshit.
Is
You
it
can
the
already
last
tell because of that subtitle that book's gonna be really preachy. Because Frank Miller's Batman's already preachy as
Well, it's
it
just
is.
going to be about the Nazis.
Well, it's
No,
gonna-
it's about Superman.
Is it?
Yeah, because
Oh.
Superman's on the logo.
I thought it was going to be about, like,
and how Batman's always
trans Harley Quinn.
Batman's always an
Nazi.
anarchist in the Frank
Nazi.
Miller universe.
I thought it was going to be about Butch.
Well, now that we're on the topic, let's move on to the think piece tonight.
She's actually not Harley Quinn because that character was written before Harley Quinn existed. People just assumed she was Harley Quinn.
Oh.
Because Harley Quinn wasn't created until the animated series, which was 92 or 93.
This is just automatically going to be an open table discussion. No circle
Boo!
thing.
Fuck your rules.
So some news broke
I
out
disagree.
about.
Go ahead.
Let the man
Go ahead.
finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Some news broke out about the DC Comics movies. They had 5 writers compete for who would write Wonder Woman. They had 2 writers compete for who would write Aquaman. Neither were given clear objectives. They were just like, write an Aquaman screenplay and we'll compare it to these other people. They write it and they're like, this isn't what they're looking for. The writers are going, well, you didn't tell me what they're looking for. Here's the spiel. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is so tightly connected and is able to have all those Easter eggs and all those connections because it's overseen by a creative story team. You have Kevin Feige, who is the producer of all those films, and he oversees what goes where and what's what.
There's common denominators. There's similar stuff in all of them that ties them together.
Yeah. With the new Star Wars episodes and the anthology films, you have them overseen by Kathleen Kennedy, who is the president of Lucasfilm.
And even George Lucas is kind of helping out a little bit.
And then they have this. Who's the one guy? I forget his name. He wears a cowboy hat. He's a Lucasfilm writer.
Indiana Jones.
But people know, he shows up. He shows up at all the conventions.
It's
People.
not Lawrence Kasdan, is it?
No. It's like he basically dresses like Robert Rodriguez. But anyway, I'm getting.
I don't know.
What they're saying the problem is that Warner Brothers does not have a Kevin Feige or a Kathleen Kennedy for their DC movies. So they're having a problem with writing all these stories and having them connect because the closest person they have to a Kevin Feige is Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is busy directing movies himself, so he can't see 5 other movies happening at the same time. A lot of people are saying we'll give the role to Jeff Johns, who is a big shot, big guy at DC Comics.
He's one of their main writers.
He's one of their main writers, so have him be the,
And
Just-
Jeff Johns started with working with movies.
he was Richard Donner's
Yeah, he was
assistant.
his intern.
Yeah, which is
He dealt
kinda
with
cool.
movies before he did comic books.
Huh.
Did he help him eat people?
He's also the main dude who created the New 52. Like he wrote
Yeah.
the Justice League story for the New 52.
Is Warner Brothers mismanaging their DC Comics properties. Let's go with the thing about how there's no like war with Sony or Fox or anything. They already own all their characters. They didn't have to deal with that same thing that Disney and Marvel had to deal with, yet they waited so long. So let's just get on at it. Are they mismanaging their DC universe?
Well, you know what? Like you said about how Warner Brothers and DC already owns the movie rights to everything they do, I think it's a little sad that Marvel got like what a 10-year head start on them with their cinematic universe.
Almost started in 2008.
Yeah, it took Warner Brothers that long to be like, you know what? We actually own all of our characters. We should do the same thing. That's a little disappointing.
There was a lot of delays because 2008.
Well, wait. Let's let Donnie finish his thought real quick.
Well, it's like I said, it's just a little sad that it took Warner Brothers that long to be like, you know what? We should do the same thing that they're doing. I mean, we own all of our characters. I kind of lost my train of thought, so go ahead.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I lost my train of thought.
See, it's kind of like DC was trying before, but everything, it wasn't panning out. They had, so you go back to, Superman Returns came in 2006, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go back to 2005, they just rebooted Batman with Batman Begins. It's a commercial success. It's the bringing back of Batman, taking the character seriously. And then 2006, you get Superman Returns. And, well, that's kind of a mixed bag, kind of more on the poor side. It didn't do bad financially. And people for the most part liked Brandon Routh. They didn't think he was the problem with that movie. And then...
It is certified fresh, just for the record. I mean, not as much as Batman, but...
It's what, like 60%?
It's in the 70s.
67. Okay. Superman Returns.
Oh.
And then you have... And this was all over the internet. It was confirmed true. George Miller, the guy who created and directed most of the Mad Max movies, he was signed to make a Justice League movie. But because Christopher Nolan didn't want his Dark Knight movies involved with the Justice League, like he wanted them to be their own separate universe, just a realistic take on Batman and nothing else. So, and then since, even though Superman Returns didn't do bad, nobody really cared for that continuing on, they were going to make a Justice League movie that was going to come out in 2007 with just a whole new cast. Like, they got a lot of young actors in their 20s. Like, Armie Hammer was cast as Batman. DJ Contra, he was cast as Superman. Adam Brody from the OC, he was cast as the Flash. Common, the rapper Common, he's also an actor. He was cast as Jon Stewart, Green Lantern.
That's actually pretty legit.
The bad guy from Fury Road, Immortan Joe, he was cast as Martian Manhunter. Teresa Palmer was cast as Talia al Ghul. One of the girls from Mad Max Fury Road.
Ooh.
The girl with the dark hair that's not one of the
Fucking dwelling on what could have been.
not one of the wives. Like, she was Wonder Woman, and I forget the guy that got
One of the warriors.
She was the chick the shot where she pulls up the rifle out of the sand. I can't remember her fucking name. She's
not famous.
She's used to working with George Miller, and that's why she was in Fury Road, and that's why she was going to be Wonder Woman. And I forget the guy who was going to play Aquaman.
Wait, is this the naked chick who was...
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
movie?
She was going to be Wonder Woman.
She gets run over.
And Teresa...
Spoiler?
Teresa Palmer.
Mobby.
You know who that is?
No.
Did you ever see Warm Bodies?
Nah.
She's Kristen Stewart's long-lost
She
sister.
looks like Kristen Stewart, but she's blonde, but she's a better actress.
Oh.
And she was the chick in I Am Number 4.
So you mean shots
fired? She's been in a
Not
bunch
a
of shit.
mannequin.
I actually don't think Kristen Stewart's that bad of an actress. I just think Teresa Palmer's better.
She's better in her indie roles.
I'm not one of those people
Man,
that
all
hate
I'm
Kristen
saying is
Stewart.
if you turn the closed captioning on, it would say acting in parentheses.
We'll continue, and I want to get you two in on this too.
Okay,
when
but
Donnie can
like
come back.
they had the cast, they had the script. Apparently, the script's leaked, and they even apparently from what I've read, they even had the actors in New Zealand, like in Australia where George Miller's from. They had them in Australia doing costume fits, and were preparing to film. But in like 2006 to 2008, there was a big writer's strike in Hollywood. It affected a lot of movies and TV, and apparently that's what made the Justice League movie fall through. Because they were on the verge of filming. Like, they had the actors on set. Like, it wasn't just one of those things like it was just an idea up in the air in the WB offices. Like, no, they were there. They were on set. They had the whole cast there in New Zealand. They were ready, but it just fell through. And then as the years went on, you know, you make the more of the Dark Knight movies. And Nolan still doesn't want to get involved in that stuff. He's like, no, I want to do my trilogy and then I'm done. And I don't want you to tamper with that. And since the Dark Knight movies did well, Warner Brothers appreciated his opinion. You're like, you know what, we're not going to dabble in that. We're not going to make Christian Bale do other things. And Christian Bale didn't want to. He said, I don't want to do anything else without Christopher Nolan.
You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy.
And then Superman Returns, since Superman Returns wasn't as received as well, we had to wait 7 years for someone to finally get a good idea, and then then we get Man of Steel in 2013, and then finally when Superman's rebooted, they're like, okay, we got Zack Snyder on board, we got a guy who's very passionate about comics and is a good director. Let's just give it to him. And that's why I think like they waited so long, because they were trying. They could have been a year ahead. Like, if George Miller did make that movie, they would have been a year ahead, because Iron Man 1 didn't come out until 2008. And they were just going to make a Justice League movie. Like, no movies connecting up to it. Like, at least like with this, like, we have Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and then Justice League. They were just going to drop in, and George Miller's ideas, because all the actors he casted... all the actors he casted at the time were around our age or younger. Like,
we get Wonder Woman before Justice League now.
He wanted to do younger actors...
Yeah.
To like grow into their roles, but just start as a team, like with already pre-established backgrounds. Kind of like, because in the cartoon in the 90s and the early 2000s, like the Justice League cartoon, when they finally did that, the only people that had a show before that was Batman and Superman. Like the Flash, Martian Manhunter, Green Arrow, they just dropped them in. But I don't know if that movie would have worked. I don't know if it would have been bad. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, it could have worked.
It's like if the Avengers was the first MCU movie. Would you have really have felt the build-up as much?
I really don't know.
I don't know anybody. I don't think I've met anybody that's watched the Avengers before any other. I know there's people that didn't
test that.
I know there's...
Joe hasn't seen any of them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to test that.
Well, Trevor, Kogel, get in on this.
Get in here.
What do we got?
Well, I mean, I actually think that a Justice League movie standing on its own would have worked. Because the Justice League series, standing on its own with no backup cartoons, worked.
Well, it only had 2, but it was just for Batman and Superman.
But even if you
didn't
see
the other, that's the thing.
I saw a lot more Justice League than the other 2.
It's like the other 5 members, they just dropped in.
What
were you saying?
I said I saw a lot more Justice League than I did Batman show and especially Superman show. I can't even remember seeing more than 2 episodes of the Superman animated series. I watched a lot of Batman in the later years when they started rerunning it, but I started with Justice League pretty much in terms of the DC.
I started with Batman. Like, Batman animated series is just amazing.
Batman the animated series was really good. I used to watch that as a kid when I was watching on Fox.
The cool thing, I think that's kind of hard to apply though, because that's Justice League is a show that had a lot of episodes if you count Unlimited as well. And you can have episodes devoted to certain characters.
And
really, it's only like 4 seasons.
But still, you can. I mean, I remember because
for
Flash,
a cartoon, that's pretty decent.
Flash didn't have anything beforehand. There were a lot of episodes devoted to Flash that were really cool. You can't do that with a movie because you're limited.
Well,
to
that's
2
the
to
thing.
3
A
hours.
TV show, you can give people character development over time. With a movie,
you can devote.
You have about 2 hours to give 7 core characters and antagonists and supporting characters enough time.
And also, before 2012, wouldn't you say that the Justice League was more recognized than the Avengers was?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
That's another.
And now people think they're not, which is horseshit.
No.
Yeah, Justice League was always bigger.
Well, because one of the biggest Saturday morning cartoons ever came out before we were even born.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the Super Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The most pop of that generation.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Well, my thing is because...
Meanwhile, Darth Vader's head.
Because of the Avengers movie, everybody thinks, like, Iron Man is the poster child for Marvel. I liked Iron Man.
Spider-Man was.
As a comic book fan, I liked Iron Man, but nobody gave a shit about Iron Man. Like, the general populace, they didn't give a shit about Iron Man until the movies.
Yeah.
That was all Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau.
Spider-Man.
See, this is starting to
And that's
slowly...
the thing. And Spider-Man's not a core Avenger member. He has been on the Avengers. He has been on the Avengers, but as far as like the classic lineup, like how like the classic Justice League is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and like the Avengers is like Cap, Iron Man.
Captain America wasn't even on the original lineup.
But they counted because he came in like
before
3 issues later.
But
10
now.
years ago, Captain America to the general mainstream audience
Neither
wasn't
was Black Widow or
wasn't
Hawkeye.
Captain America wasn't
I would-
as nearly popular as he is today.
Oh, I would argue though he was the most popular Avenger.
I think what everyone's
Like
Yeah.
no
starting
one
to
gave
really
a shit about Iron Man until that movie.
Yeah,
And
Cap-
I didn't.
Cap was always the main guy in the Avengers.
A lot of
comics.
people liked Thor, but like, do you remember that Avengers cartoon where like it was all the B
You got-
characters and Hawkeye was the
You gotta
leader?
let Kogel speak. He listens
What
to
Kogel?
me.
I get a shit. So
I think what everyone's really
Plot.
starting to prove to me here
tag
is
me out.
it always
There we go.
it always seems to me that whenever you try to bring something that wasn't mainstream before into the mainstream so that everyone can enjoy it, which is really good, you're trying to bring comic stories and whatnot so that the general public can appreciate them.
If you see like a mist come from under the door, it's normal.
I mean, just think about it like this. If you take someone who's never seen the Avengers and stuff, and you get a giant group of people, which is the mass amount of people that weren't like never into comic books and stuff, but you make the comic book stuff more appealing to them so that they actually watch it, you got this one little moment in time where if you don't tell the story the way it was supposed to be told, the way you tell that story is how they're going to think it's always been. So, for example,
It goes to everybody is an expert after the movie comes out.
that I can't stand that.
I hate that. Like
So,
that's just
like, most-
I've been a fan forever. No, yeah.
No, you haven't.
Joker
You were,
is
you
so
were a fan.
cash.
You were a fan as soon as the first Iron Man came out.
Name 3 Batman villains who aren't the Joker.
I mean,
Yeah, no, more like name 3 Iron Man villains
Yeah.
At all.
that weren't in the movies.
but
Can you do that? Can you do that, Blake?
Well, let's let Kogel finish.
I just feel that sometimes, and I mean sometimes, whenever you introduce comic book movies, especially this whole the DC universe that's going on, and the Marvel universe that's going on, could DC have stepped up their game and caught up? Yeah, there have been numerous amounts of time where they saw this Marvel storm on the horizon. They could have prepared for it ahead of time.
Yeah.
However, there is this like shining glint of hope that I see for DC. Marvel's going to burn out very quickly because, unfortunately, I have this I have a notion that the people that they're raking in with these movies that they're attracting very like fast, they're those people that I can't stand that have a very short attention span, and if you don't keep spitting out movies that sometimes are going to be shit, to pacify them, they're just going to move on to the next thing.
I honestly think they're going to peak after Infinity War.
I think after that they're going to take a break for a bit.
And when they take a break, everyone's going to just turn
I
around and go
think
to the
they,
next big
they
thing.
should take
Well,
a break.
you know, it works both
Yeah.
ways. There's a very good.
Well, that works for everything.
I'm not going to say that is going to happen to DC, but I'm going to say it's a very good possibility because you talk about how, like what you mentioned, you get people. Everybody's an expert after the movie. The same thing happens to DC movies.
It happens to
So-
anything.
The same thing happened to Batman really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but just a Batman, really, because Batman's really the only DC movies that have been in the limelight in the past years.
I have to make this very clear. I grew up with Batman the Animated Series. I liked the character. I liked how he evolved. I liked what kind of a person they originally made him out to be. And it wasn't until he started becoming insanely popular, and you get some of these people who don't have a person they can go, I like that character, so that they just go Batman, and then they always try to do those things where it's Batman versus something, and why does he win? Because Batman. The phrase "because Batman" enrages me so much because it doesn't even sound intelligent. There's no reasoning behind it.
The whole false expert thing could also carry over to what people did with Man of Steel, where
Oh.
the people who walked into Man of Steel wanting to disapprove of it, after he killed General Zod, you had those people saying, Superman doesn't kill people. I'm like, where are you getting that from? Like, since when was that a thing?
Yeah.
It's like, no, Batman doesn't kill. Superman's killed people plenty of times.
Even Batman's killed sometimes.
And the funny thing
Yeah.
Batman saw Two-Face hang himself and laughed.
That's the
remember
one
that.
thing that always messed me up about the Man of Steel movie, which I loved. I loved Man of Steel. I actually didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. And I saw it, and I looked over at you, Blake, and I was like, I understand why you like this character now. I was completely convinced. But you mean to tell me that you have a character that everyone atypically just flocks to, and he has his main villain, and he has multiple times to kill him, because that guy is a psychopath. And he doesn't kill him, and that's okay. But you have a guy who has to protect like that millions of people on Earth from one man, and he kills them, and he does it, and he protects them, and now he's a bad guy.
I don't think
Kiss my ass.
But my thing
No,
is,
no,
I want to get back to the core question: is DC being mismanaged?
A little bit.
So, it's kind of hard to compare the DCU to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You can.
It's not enough to compare.
there's
But-
really only one movie.
Exactly. But
You can't compare Man of Steel to all of them.
I definitely feel DC has a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Marvel has a tremendous head start. I don't think they're going to burn out like Zack does. I don't think they're going to burn out. I think they might take a break after Infinity War.
They should take a break.
I don't know if they will phase out, but sometimes I feel like DC's taking its time because they think after Infinity War they'll stand a better chance.
Possibly, but
because they're probably betting on
that's going to be
newer Avengers and newer heroes.
That's
from
going to be
Marvel.
well, they're probably also the way the whole thing's coming together. They're going to be like, oh, well, that's the peak of everything that the past 10 years has been leading up to.
Well, they're probably betting on the newer characters not to catch on.
Yeah.
And follow that.
Because
they've hit their large scale event. Where can they go from there?
But it seems to me that Marvel, they have a plan. They have like just a list of we're going to do this, this, and this.
Well, they're constantly planning 10 to 15 years.
Exactly.
Then again,
DC, I'm almost done.
Uh-huh.
I promise. DC.
Will you let me finish? I just want to finish.
DC has a list of stuff they want to do, but they just aren't sure how they're going to go about doing it. It seems that DC, they get a couple ideas and then they just kind of fall down the stairs.
They know the beginning and the end, and they just don't know how to connect.
Yeah, they get an idea and then they fall down the stairs and then they're not sure.
Meanwhile,
where to go
Feige's making a fucking net of a
Yeah.
web of.
I have
It's like Magic the Gathering versus Yu-Gi-Oh. Magic the Gathering plans years ahead. Yu-Gi-Oh
DC.
plays it by ear.
DC looking at a
Yeah.
whiteboard, they got to start and finish, and they're just like,
Yep.
look, they're thinking.
I have
and,
this.
then, and then Feige's like, what movie's gonna come out in 2075?
Yeah.
Which one's we gonna put
I have
out
this
that
really
year?
sneaky suspicion that DC actually does have a plan. They're doing that thing where we want to
They
do
act
this.
like
We
they
want
don't
to do
have
this
a plan?
correctly. How about we watch Marvel? We'll see what they do, and we'll see what people bitch at Marvel about, and then we'll do it better.
Well, that's another question. Has Marvel somewhat damaged their element of surprise by announcing everything that's coming out until 2019?
A little
Yes.
bit.
Like, it was cool the first time they did that, but like
Ooh.
when
There's
Ant-Man,
that duck again.
when they announced that stuff, and Ant-Man was the last one, and now we've got like 20 movies after that.
Damn.
So they got too far into it.
Now that was like Darkwing Funk.
Freak Walk Night 2,
Okay.
Electric Boogaloo.
Well, DC's announced stuff they're going to do for the next several years too. So if they ruin their element of surprise,
Marvel's announced like 20 movies. DC's announced like 6.
But hold on. DC's was more painfully obvious. Like, we're gonna do another Green Lantern movie. No shit, huh? It's like, hey, guess what? You know Wonder Woman? She's gonna get a movie
holy
too.
fuck! Jesus.
Then again, I will say,
Keep going.
I will say though, it does make a
sure you
world
speak
of
out of the right
difference.
hole this time.
It makes a world of difference between, like what you said. Hey,
No wonder
remember
you're the
Green
wife
Lantern?
beater. You ripping ones like that, you get hot.
You guys like fucking
Oh
muddy
shit!
waters on the
You
toilet.
got, you got the hey. You remember Green Lantern? He's getting a movie. Really? Versus, hey, you remember Ant-Man? Who? Oh, you don't know who Ant-Man is. That motherfucker's getting a movie.
Well, you know what? It's when it comes to Marvel,
Name 2 Ant-Man that aren't Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Fuck.
Shit!
Okay.
When it comes to Marvel announcing a ton of movies like that, sure, maybe they destroyed the element of surprise. But then you sit and you think about it, it's like, I wonder what, like if you like that character, you're like, for
You have
example,
time to research.
if you like that character, you're like, I wonder how they're going to do that. You know, I like that guy. I can't wait to see that. I wonder how they're going to do that. So you still have that anticipation. If you don't know that character, one, you have time to research and learn about it. Or two, if you don't research, you're going to be like, I like Marvel. I'll go see it just because I like Marvel. So I can't wait to see and learn about this character in this movie. So I don't think
I can't wait to act like I'm a genius about the character.
Yeah. So I don't think it's sure it maybe ruined their element of surprise, but I don't think it ruined the anticipation and the fun that you can have watching the movie.
Actually, I misinterpreted that. I thought when you said ruins the element of surprise, I thought their ad campaign and their marketing, how they keep blatantly just showing scenes of the movie, and they're
Well-
like, "Hey, you want to see this? You want to see this?" It's
Well,
like,
everybody
If I
does
piece
that.
together all the
They only really
commercials,
did
I'm
that with
pretty,
Age of
pretty
Ultron.
watched it already.
And plus, everybody does that.
Well,
that's why I don't
okay.
want. That's why I try to avoid trailers.
I have a more focused point in this question. What do we think of the DC lineup so far? With Marvel, we had an Iron Man movie, we had a Hulk movie, we had an Iron Man sequel, we had a Thor movie, we had a Captain America
We had a
movie,
coaster.
we had a Captain America movie, and then they all came together in the Avengers. This is what DC's doing. Batman versus Superman. Also, you get some appearances from Wonder Woman, maybe Aquaman, Cyborg, maybe the Flash.
Everybody but Green Lantern.
Everybody but Green
Yeah.
Lantern. And then Suicide Squad, a bunch of villains. That's the second movie of that year. After Batman vs. Superman, you get a Suicide Squad movie. And then the next summer, you get a Wonder Woman movie, even though that's not her introduction. Her introduction was in Batman vs. Superman, and then we're going to get the Justice League movie. And then after the Justice League movie, Aquaman's going to get his own movie. And then by 2020, we're going to get a Green Lantern reboot. What do we think of that layout?
Well, first I'm going to say, you mentioned how the Justice League was originally supposed to come out before Avengers, but Avengers ended up coming out first. Well, I guess DC got a bit of a trade-off because Sinister Six is supposed to come out, but now the Suicide Squad is going to come out first. So I guess DC got a little bit of a trade-off there. That lineup for DC is just weird to me.
It's weird. I'm not going to say it's
like,
bad, it's odd.
It kind of feels like the reason they're just kind of throwing appearances by all these other characters in movies about character A and character B. It feels like they're trying to make up for lost time a little bit instead of giving each character their own movie. We're just going to throw them in here and introduce them here so we can kind of make up for lost time. Can Wonder Woman carry her own movie? I don't know, maybe.
Well, she's strong enough.
I think she can.
So,
See that rumor?
so I guess the question is there that you get with some Marvel stuff.
yeah.
Like with Marvel, can
No.
Daredevil carry his own movie? Can this character carry their own movie? And that goes for DC as well. But I feel like with this lineup that DC has going on, it kind of feels like they're trying to make up for lost time. So it poses the
Jake's
risk
weird
of
opinions.
it may feel rushed,
True
it may
Detective's
feel
like the best thing ever
done a little
did.
too hastily. Maybe something they might have messed up a little because they rushed it. So
I think it's a double-edged sword because if they did do a Superman movie, then a Batman reboot, then an Aquaman movie, then a Wonder... If they followed the exact same Marvel template...
well, they're just copying Marvel.
you would get that. You would be like, oh, they're copying Marvel. They're not doing their own layout. I think it is a double-edged sword where no matter what, it's going to feel odd because, once again, the main point, they were beat to the punch.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it's all in how you tell the story. Like, for example, you get to Iron Man 2, and you get to Iron Man 1
You
right
don't
at the
tell that
end.
part.
And then Iron Man 1, hey, I like Iron Man 2. It's the coaster that comes after it that I'm pissed off about. But no, you get to the end of Iron Man 1, and then all of a sudden, we want you for the Avengers Initiate. Cut to black. And you're like, Avengers, what? So then it flows on to another movie, and you're like, I still want to hear about this Avengers Initiate. Well, if you go to a different movie and they tell it differently, well, then you have Batman vs. Superman, and then everyone kind of pops their head up, like, hey, I'm a hero. I'm a hero, too. I'm a hero.
Let's
You're
hang
like,
out sometime.
Hey, whoa, hold on a second. Let's
Let's all be heroes together.
And then they're like, well, what about this one? And then that one gets their own movie. It literally, it all depends on how you tell the story.
Set them all macaroning Black Widow. Okay.
Okay,
Like,
that's
like-
fair.
I mean, if anything, and I hate to bring this
Have you
up,
seen the actual video of it?
think about this.
I haven't.
Out of the
Show that
Avengers,
one, show
two characters
Speed in
didn't
which
get
he
their own
goes
movie.
From 1 to 11.
Justice
Yes.
League.
He just
A lot
goes
of the
from-
other characters, a better handful of characters are going to get their own movie.
I think there could have been a way to condense it to where they don't have to wait as long. I think if they were going to do a Batman and Superman movie, they can team up other superheroes. Like, this was a rumor, and I was totally pumped for it, that we were going to get Batman versus Superman, and then after that we were going to get a Green Lantern and Flash movie.
A little bit about that.
Because they were like, well, the Flash already has his show, so him having his own origin movie may feel redundant. We need a Green Lantern reboot. Let's just combine it in one.
Yeah.
And
They shouldn't do a Flash movie. I think with the
He's
success,
too fast. You
with
can't film him.
with the success of the TV show and that mainly focusing on his origin, they shouldn't do a Flash movie.
all the more reason.
He should just be a supported character.
All the more reason to what I'm saying, where you have Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. They could have had the Flash and Green Lantern, the Brave and the Bold. Like, and then they
And my thing is like Marvel, like they're smart about who they pick for the leads for like solo movies, because like the Hulk and like Black Widow and Hawkeye and Vision, they're great supporting characters, and I think a Hulk solo movie can still work. But like Marvel, Mark Ruffalo, Kevin Feige, Joss Whedon, they're all hell bent on that Hulk is better as a supporting character. And I'm not saying Hulk should be, but there are characters that should be only supporting characters. At least in movies. You can have solo Flash comics. You can have the Flash TV show. When it comes to a movie, he might just need to be a supporting character.
Shit.
And they could have condensed 6 movies into.
Because that's the thing. Marvel doesn't want to do more solo Hulk movies.
No, of course not.
Mark Ruffalo doesn't want to. He thinks he works just as an Avengers character.
Yeah.
And it, like what I was trying to go back to with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they could have just had them in the same movie where it's about a war between their kingdoms or something like that. So they don't have to stretch, you know.
But that's the thing. Not every character needs to be in the spotlight. Some characters shine the best with little than more. Sometimes less is more. You know what I mean?
I think the Flash movie will actually confuse a lot of people.
It's going too fast.
Well, they'll think, and like there's certain like even the aesthetic and the look, because especially like if they do the costume comic book accurately, they're gonna be like, well, they're ripping off the show because the show's costume's more or less accurate. And then like Grant Gustin, like he's a short, skinny guy, and they even did dark hair because Barry Allen in the comics is always known as a blonde guy. He's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. Grant Gustin's got dark hair. Ezra Miller, who they're getting to play, has dark hair. And I do get this vibe that I feel like the movie is ripping off the TV show. And that shouldn't be the case. Like, movies are known for being bigger than shows.
Yeah.
You know what would be really cool? Like, you know how right...
My butthole.
What would be really cool? You know how right now in the comics, Marvel is ending all their, like, multiverses and they're combining it all into one universe? If they did that in the movies after Infinity War somehow.
That's what I was saying. That's the next step in the movies. You already got the cosmic shit. The next step is multiple dimensions, so they have an excuse to replace characters and keep names.
Yeah.
The gauntlet shatters and the universe.
Something happens to Tony. We get a new fucking Tony.
But my thing is,
we get Ultimate Tony.
I don't think mainstream audiences would respond well to alternate universes. The only reason it worked with Star Trek is because there hadn't been a Star Trek movie in years, and I think general audiences see it more as a reboot than like
They do.
a time alternate
Yeah.
universe. If you just did like Infinity War and then 2 years later, oh, it's some alternate reality and we just have this excuse to have someone else besides Robert Downey Jr. You got those Robert Downey Jr.'s, Iron Man's, the poster child of Marvel purists. They'll be like, no, that's fucking stupid.
Well, they're fucking stupid.
But that's the thing.
But I feel like
that's the thing.
War can introduce it so well.
It doesn't. No, just because you go into space doesn't mean you can do alternate reality.
They said they're not going to do reboots. They said they will recast people, but I think they'll just recast people the old-fashioned way.
Exactly, that's not a reboot.
But I think they'll just recast people the old-fashioned way, where they just recast them and don't
because
say
that's
anything.
the thing.
Like
they already have recast people and didn't explain it.
Hulk.
Bruce Banner has been recast. War Machine has been recast.
They're just going to do it.
One of the guys.
I see what you're saying.
One of the guys in Thor was recast.
What?
One of the guys in Thor was recast.
One of the
one of the Warriors.
You didn't even notice.
One of the Warriors 3, the guy with the rapier.
Yeah.
He was recast.
It was Chuck from TV's Chuck.
Yeah. Yeah, War Machine. That was one of the big things. Is that Terrence Howard was second billed in the first Iron Man. And then, like, he wanted more money, and so they draw. And they don't even explain it. It's just
Don Cheadle, everybody.
Just Don Cheadle was roadie.
Tired.
Don Cheadle was roadie. And just
Chuck from TV's Chuck.
And a lot of people felt, and I feel this way in some way, is that in a lot of ways the Incredible Hulk movie that Edward Norton did, well, it was at first, and like there's Robert Downey Jr. cameo at the end. A lot of people feel like that movie's not really connected to the Avengers.
Doesn't feel. But now,
for
General Ross come back.
When Avengers 1, the only thing that references the first movie is that Mark
He
Ruffalo
broke
says he
Harlem.
broke Harlem, and in the fight in Incredible Hulk took place in Harlem.
Yeah.
And
Well,
but now
in
they're
Iron Man
but
2, there was footage from Incredible Hulk, though.
you can barely see it though.
But it's there.
And then William Hurt's coming back.
But my thing is,
Ow.
that they
How long
don't.
was he in the hospital?
I fucking hate you.
But my thing
Chuck,
is like
from...
Bruce Banner never.
119.
Bruce Banner never.
Yeah, no, I'm
Bruce,
getting... it's
Bruce
like
Banner
that-
never references like Betty Ross, like the
But-
love of his life and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It
They had this whole setup at the end of Incredible Hulk that the leader was going to show up, and the leader is Hulk's arch enemy. And just they never I guess just the leader's just hanging out for the past decade.
He's around.
He's got TiVo.
we have to
His brain's growing, and he's just
We
hanging
We have
out.
to move on.
We have to move on though. One last time around, can DC catch up in a graceful way and prove that they
Why
can
are you
do it?
asking that? Because then you were going to talk more about it for 20 minutes. You should probably just go to the
Yes
next
or no
topic.
question.
Yes or no?
no?
Yes or no
That's
question.
it.
Yes or no? Can they catch up in a good way?
Yes, but it'll be
That-
difficult.
Okay,
Yeah, I have confidence in him.
absolutely.
I voted for
Yes.
Harvey Dent.
Okay.
You didn't say yes.
Ah,
or no.
shit.
Yes, of course I think yes.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah, you're the DC fanboy.
All right.
Next topic, come on.
Next topic.
Is this the final topic?
Yes.
Final boss.
This week we are reviewing George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road.
Exactly 3 minutes to do so.
And here's my grunt.
Okay. We'll do we'll do a minute each around. What did you think of it? And then we'll open up the table, starting with you, Michael.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off right now. This movie it didn't make as much as Pitch Perfect 2. I saw it coming because Mad Max is a rated R movie. It's not gonna make as much. That's just business in the movies nowadays. If your movie's rated R, it's not.
Good
gonna-
luck.
The only movie that's really shined being rated R lately was American Sniper. But
Because there's a fighting them terrorists.
It still did fine.
Mountain
though.
Dew, Doritos, NASCAR.
okay, one that's kind of insulting. And
shit.
It was a good movie.
It was a very, and that's a true story about an American hero. So I understand why that movie made a lot of money.
But Mad Max still did well.
It did well, but it wasn't the number one movie when it opened. But it is good. It has really, really good action scenes. It goes back to what I say. I love practical effects, and it's full of practical action scenes.
Jesus Christ.
But story-wise, it lacks a lot. This movie has no plot.
No.
It is a 2-hour chase scene.
Do you think the score on Rotten Tomatoes
Honestly-
is overselling it?
Yes.
Okay.
People were overselling it. This is the Guardians of the Galaxy this year.
Wow.
Because, but no, that's the thing. I'm not saying they're bad. Guardians of the Galaxy is a good movie. It is a good movie. Mad Max Fury Road is a good movie. But they, by their merits, are a B. They are a B. They are not an A. They are not an A+. I saw reviews saying this is one of the best movies in a decade. And I'm
No.
and that's horseshit.
I was excited for it, but no.
I thought it was good. I like the Mad Max series. The best thing about these movies is the mythology, not the plot, to be honest. Because
The aesthetics, yeah.
the plots of the old movie are very lackluster and they're kind of dated. This movie is updated more. The action scenes alone, like if I was just watching this like as a music video or just random action scenes, it's an A+ because I love practical effects. It's pleasure for the eyes, it's just great action scenes, great visuals, great cinematography. But as far as the story goes and some of the dialogue is very, very if you just took the plot and cut out the action scenes, like put different action scenes, like crappier action scenes that George Miller had nothing to deal with. Like if you gave the script to somebody else and they just made kind of whatever action scenes, this movie would probably be like a C-.
Well, let's continue around the table. Trevor.
Fun fact: if you notice at the beginning, the dude with his arms and legs swapped was actually Chuck from TV's Chuck. No, but I really liked it. But yeah, definitely the score is a little overrated, and there's reasons for that that I'm not going to get into because it's going to cause a debate or just outright hate for something.
Oh boy.
So
Well, you already said it, so you might as well just say it.
We'll come back to it then.
No, he's definitely not gonna like it.
What?
It's everyone fucking crying that it's a feminist film. It's these back and forth songs.
Yeah.
I've heard
it's
about
like-
that.
And then
It's
like,
like,
Charlie's
it's
Theron,
not.
the main person.
It's not.
Yeah.
Someone said it was. I don't see how it is.
It's not.
I don't think it's either or. Like, I think they're both strong characters. I don't really.
Yeah,
It's
well-
not. I don't think it leans one way or the other. But
Okay, my honest opinion about this movie.
what did you think of the movie?
It's a good movie.
I really liked it.
It's
Okay.
a good movie.
It was one giant action scene though.
It's on Google now, dude.
I didn't get to finish.
Okay, well they.
All right, you
yes.
finished. There you go.
I mean, he's the one running the show.
Well,
Go ahead.
what did you think? What would you say? Do you see Charlize Theron as the having more screen time just because she has more
yeah.
dialogue, or but would you still say she's not the protagonist?
Well, I mean, it doesn't just apply to this one. It's all the movies are about Mad Max going from place to place and doing his thing, and I feel like doing that, he becomes a background character almost. He's definitely not the protagonist. He's the link of the films.
Well, he never talks a lot, though.
Yeah,
In all the movies, his
and the
thing
other
is that he
characters have
doesn't
to talk for him.
That gives the supporting characters time to shine because he's a quiet, like, lone hero.
Okay.
Like the guy the gyrocopter is in the Road Warrior. He talks way more than Mad Max does.
Cool.
I think what a lot of people were really missing here is the fact that everybody is so caught up in trying to, we want to tell a story, and this movie comes up and like, there's no fucking story in this. Yeah, there is. You gotta look deeper. The fact that he doesn't talk much, they're trying to set the stage for another movie. They're trying to set the stage for the fact that he's been alone for God knows how long, by himself. That causes a really messed up state in your head where you don't really talk to people much. You don't know how to talk to people much.
Yeah, but
I forget what it's called.
But that's called background. That's not the plot. Tell me, what is the plot of Fury Road?
Well,
I can tell you the plot.
What
But
is
I mean,
the-
I want Coco to finish.
A U-turn.
Charlize Theron's character feels bad for the wives of this dude who has a bunch of these people who he's abusing because he only gives them water when he wants to. So he's a bit of a tyrant. And she tries to bring these girls to the place that she grew up, which
Her
she knew
motherland.
would be safe.
It was
basically-
called the Greenland or
The
something?
Greenland. That's basically the plot.
Motherland.
Yeah. And he just happens to help them because he's a damn good shot and he's violent as hell. I mean,
So what did you like about it? What did you think worked best?
I really appreciated the fact that this movie was practical effects. And I mean, I kept hearing it over and over again. I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, damn, this is what a movie can be. With how you direct it, how you put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, some people may think that there's no plot at all. Well, you're not
the
wrong,
plot-
but yet you're not 100% right either.
Plot can be summed up in a sentence.
Well,
I'm not
my
saying that's
thing
a
is-
bad thing.
my
I'm just
thing is,
saying that's a
if
thing.
if you can sum a plot up in a sentence, it's not a good plot. It's too simple.
very least, it's not a
too
deep plot.
It's too simple. It's too basic. It's too lackluster.
but also if
And
it
stories aren't known for being good, for being simple.
Well, also sometimes it is. I don't want to go off the rails here, but sometimes you don't need a very specific plot to tell a great story. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. What is the primary plot to The Dark Knight? What is the primary objective of The Dark Knight in 2.5 hours? What is the main plot?
You can't say it in a sentence, though.
Well, other than the fact that
Batman tries to stop
keep
the
the city
terrorists.
safe.
No, that's not enough, though.
yeah.
Because the whole thing with The Dark Knight is that Batman and Gordon, the cops, were trying to stop the mob, and they're hurting them hard. But then the mob turns to someone, the Joker, who helps them gain the upper hand. And then also you have the subplot of Harvey Dent rising to power as the district attorney and teaming up with Batman. And the things with Hong Kong and like the extraditing. You have the whole thing about money laundering and stuff like that.
I think the better way of what I was trying to say originally is
Like
if you want to
that's
start,
complexity. That's layers.
if you want to start a movie, people always say that some movies aren't as complex anymore. There's no original ideas. This may not have been 100% of original idea, but it was a more of an original take on it. You can't. It seems everyone wants something new, but they don't want to give the new thing a chance. Its chance to do its own thing.
Have you seen the old movies?
It's been a long time.
But my thing is like this plot is really not that much different from the other movies. It's the same thing, like crazy people in the desert chasing the good guys, fighting over oil and water. Like, it is the same. It's nothing that new, to be honest with you.
Let's move on to what Donnie thought, and then we'll open it up with.
Well, I guess it's time to give the guy who made those trailers for Mad Max his award.
Really?
I think the trailers sold the movie. Like, I think the trailers did the movie
That's
justice.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It oversold it. So
I think the people praising it are overselling it.
I think the trailers helped with that a lot, too.
The trailers sold nothing more than the action. The trailers did not sell any plot.
And that's what the best part of the movie is.
The action.
But you know what? This is probably my biggest complaint of the movie. For someone who has a movie named after him, Max doesn't fucking do anything. Charlize Theron is the main character of that movie. She pretty much carries that whole movie. Fucking Mad Max, he's a background character almost. He barely does anything.
And my thing is, Charlize Theron, she doesn't really do a lot either.
Yeah.
She breaks the girls out. She's in shotgun seat with Mad Max. She talks to him about going to this Greenland place. And then, spoiler alert, they find out that it's not there. It's gone or whatever, or destroyed. And then they turn around and fight Immortan Joe. Yeah. But that's the thing. Charlize Theron just has more dialogue. Yeah. But they all do that. They all ride in the truck. They all go there. They all go back, and they all fight him.
The whole movie was a bit of a predictable adventure step by step.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is.
There was no surprises. The action was great. The effects were great, but it was predictable. It got boring at times. When there was no action going on, it was boring. And for somebody who has a movie and a franchise named after him, Max doesn't do a damn thing.
You know what thing they were trying to do? Like, they were trying to do layers. Like, they were trying to do another subplot, and it really didn't work at all. Was Nicholas Holt's character. The war boy.
Yeah.
That just randomly turns good. Like, he's like all about like capturing these girls and defeating Max and Furiosa for the glory of Immortan Joe so he can go into Valhalla. And he just, like, 2 seconds, just 180s his character. And he had just met this girl, like the one redhead bride. Like, he didn't even have dialogue with her prior, so they don't even have character development to build to a relationship. They just randomly talk while he's, like, laying in the back of the truck, and they're automatically in love. And he's automatically a good guy and betrays everybody he knew and grew up with, and they don't even explain why. That was such lazy and rushed writing.
The movie as a whole is a 7 out of 10 at best.
I think the movie itself...
I give it a B, like an B or an 8 out of 10. Like, the action is what sells this movie. The plot is like a C-.
I think the action's a 10, the movie itself is a 7, so I kind of have to round it down to an 8.
I'm going to pass
I think the biggest problem with this movie, because it was like, 30 years between this and the last one?
Yeah.
That's way too long to wait for a sequel, especially when you don't really explain anything else prior to it.
Well, and then I want to... Did it feel like... Because it felt like that way to me. Did it feel like to anybody else that there is, for sure, an extended cut of this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you say that, Trevor?
I just feel like they expected everybody who went in to see this movie they assumed that they already saw everything else.
And that could get tricky. Was this, because I know it was your number one of the year other than Avengers, was it as good as you thought it was going to be, Trevor? No. What would you say, Zach?
First of all, I can't compare it to Avengers because Avengers is in a league of its own.
Well, no, I wasn't saying that.
I'm setting the stage for the things that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Avengers is in a league of its own. I can't say, I wouldn't be able to say, for example, Mad Max was better than it in my opinion. Even say it was, say it wasn't. I couldn't say that because then I'd have people jumping down my throat every 5 seconds telling me that I was wrong. I couldn't say it was worse than Avengers because then I'd be lying to myself because I really did like it. I have to separate them. Superhero movies are in their own league. any original movie that isn't a superhero movie this year, Mad Max is my number one.
You know what's my main problem with the praise for Mad Max? Is they're praising it for a different kind of movie. The people love the Fast and Furious movies action-wise because they're dumb fun. And they admit that. That's what they go for. It's dumb, cheesy fun. They're saying they're trying to make this out to be cinema gold. I'm talking about like award-worthy. Like that it's this action complex action movie. And it's not. It's just an action movie. It's not the plot. The plot is very simple. But that's the thing, and that's okay. That's okay for an action movie. That's completely fine for the action to be more important than the plot. I'm totally fine with. There's tons of movies I like this, but they're selling it the wrong way. People are acting how complex this is and how intellectual this movie is, when there's really not that much talking and stuff.
The question I asked them while you were in the bathroom was, did it feel like to you that there's an extended cut of this movie?
Yeah, they've been filming this movie for years. Of course there's an extended cut.
And it goes back to what you said about how they expected people to assume too much. And you said a lot of stuff is vague. There was a lot of stuff in, like, whether it be a magazine article or the Internet Movie Database thing, where, like, they really just don't explain enough in it. How they say Furiosa is on a escort mission to take the last fertile women in the world to her homeland. Do they ever even mention in the movie that they're the last fertile women in the world? They never really elaborate on that.
No.
They don't elaborate on...
They just wrote about that and like stuff.
They wrote about that and stuff, and then she says how she was taken from her homeland, and then that's it. So did...
You kind of just get from the movie that they're only his wives because they're like the most beautiful women or whatever.
Yeah. So
because most of the actresses that play them were like models.
Did Immortan Joe kidnap her from her homeland and then force her to be his right-hand woman all her life? Like, they don't...
Yeah.
It feels like everybody can have a rich backstory in this, but they just don't talk about it.
Yeah, and the other thing that hurts that, too, is that her and Immortan Joe share no screen time. The one time they are in frame together is when she kills him. She says one line to him and then kills him.
Remember me or something like that.
And as cool as that was, it was a cool death scene, like the way she takes him out. And I like the delivery of that line. It was a cool line. But it had no build up. You felt nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to think let's go back to The Dark Knight, since we already brought it up and we're comparing it. Not trying to beat a dead horse or anything, but you have all this build up with Batman and the Joker, and when they finally come on screen together, they have a whole scene together where they share dialogue, they share conflict, it all connects to the plot. They have conflict because they are the protagonist and the antagonist. And then we have that final climactic thing when he has the Joker captured and is hanging. And when they share that dialogue together, you're on the edge of your seat because of how powerful the connection, the conflict is. And, you know, you can talk about things in the background or not, but when the protagonist and the antagonist finally meet, it has to mean something. Like, this is Furiosa and Immortan Joe. She goes on frame on the camera for 2 seconds. Remember me? Dead.
Yeah.
And then just like, oh, we saved the day in 2 seconds.
We're going to go ahead and wrap it up now, since we did get a lot out. Closing thought is...
The Road Warrior did that too, because the Lord Humongous got killed really quick too at the end.
Yeah, he did. Well, he died like a bitch. I was always
because they just
he's
just driving his car and then they crash into him and he's just gone.
They said that there is going to be more Mad Max. They are going to try to make sequels to this, as long as they promise to build on the mythology and backstory. Yes or no? Would you be interested in seeing more Mad Max, despite how oversold this film may be?
Sure. I didn't hate this movie, so sure. I'd give him another chance.
I was assuming it already was going to have sequels, and I was already pumped for it.
I want more Max.
I'm going to go back to my thing where I said about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to watch this movie again once the hype dies down. Like, when Guardians came out, it was the most annoying thing ever. Like, people who knew nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy jumped on and act like they were fanboys and were fucking Rocket Raccoon fans since 1985. And just... and like it was really annoying, and just people wouldn't shut up about it, and just.
But that happens.
Do you even
with
fucking
everything.
know what race his girlfriend is?
And then the thing is like, and once the hype died
Snail.
down, and I bought Guardians of the Galaxy on Blu-ray,
Platypus.
I gave it a B+. I did give it like a B minus, and I raised it. I'm like, this is a good movie, but it's still not as good as people make it. I think once I watch this again, once the heat cools off, I will
Or
like this
Bieber.
movie more probably.
I think what we all are trying to say here is we really hate people.
No, fandoms can really ruin
Fuck
stuff.
everyone listening.
I'm gonna wrap it up now. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think this is an outcry for action scenes to be done in a more elegant way. Stop with the shaky cam.
Real quick?
Stop. Yes.
I normally hate fast, like when they speed up footage. It worked in this.
Yeah.
Made it creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, the older ones did it, but it worked. I liked it in the opening especially. But okay, wrap it up.
But no, like when he's got
Yeah.
the and he hangs on the thing.
I
like,
loved
he's going over
that
the car.
use of sped up footage there. You don't see it enough in things done properly. I mean,
Yeah, this is definitely done by a director who knows how to get your blood pumping. He just needs a stronger pen.
Yeah.
That's how
He
I'll put it.
ran out of ink.
He was a
Yeah.
hire writer.
I want wide, beautiful, long shots. Just action needs to be taken better care of. I do still implore people to see this film in theaters. Give it money. I don't want this to be another Edge of Tomorrow.
This is a movie you want to see on the big screen.
This is-
all action movies, all big action movies you want to see on the big
you
screen.
want more Max.
If you haven't noticed, I don't talk as much as everyone else in these podcasts. If you ever want to see any full thoughts I have on a movie or a trailer, go to blakevjones.tumblr.com.
Or watch Hails and Fails. Season 2 begins filming soon. I promise.
Nice plug, Dick.
Yeah, I'm Blake Jones. You can find me on Twitter at BlakeVJones.
You already said that.
I said Tumblr.
Oh, I just,
You can find them on the internet.
Mike,
somewhere.
whatever. Twitter,
Worldwide.
Tumblr.
If you Google Blake V Jones, you'll find my stuff.
I'm on them there internets.
Yeah. I'm Donnie Johnson. You can find me on Twitter at TheDonJohn1991. Also, be sure to follow Pooka Saucy on Twitter at Pooka Saucy. Definitely subscribe to us on YouTube, especially since we're going to be starting Season 2 of Hails and Fails soon.
My name is Zachary Koval. You can find me on them worldwide internets, on Twitter at Gillzilla. I'm also on YouTube, Gillzilla. I'm on Tumblr with System Lumbra. And you can also find me on SoundCloud at Guile, Gyle.
I'm Trevor Klein. You can find me on Twitter at Bumbus Columbus. That there old Facebook. My YouTube channel where I put stuff up occasionally, and that's about it for now. My LinkedIn page,
My Pinterest.
my Pinterest.
And I'm Michael Whedon. You can find me at None of Your Damn Business.
Well then.
Wow.
What a happy thought.